Today we talk to Stuart from Storio. Stuart has a very interesting story to tell how he became head of talent while starting as a salesperson. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, where we unlock the secrets of modern HR. I'm Benjamin, your host. Join us as we shed light on today's HR universe with HR leaders and innovators from across the globe. Whether you're an HR pro, a business leader, or just curious about the future of work, this is your shortcut to the forefront of HR innovation. Brought to you by Hire, the AI talent attraction platform. Welcome to our latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm looking forward to my guest today. Stuart, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, look, thanks for having me on.
Stuart, would you mind giving us a bit of a background? Who are you?
Yeah, so my name's Stuart Wolstenholme. I'm the head of talent for Storio Group. So we're a leader in the photo gifting market. We have 1,000 employees who are kind of spread across the UK, the Netherlands, France, Spain, Germany, Norway, and Sweden. Myself, I look after all things talent acquisition. Recently, my role has expanded to the wider talent piece. So looking at talent management, which obviously feeds into talent retention is a big piece now. It's very hard to attract talent. The talent pools are kind of shrinking a little bit. There's much of it. We always talk about the war for talent. It's very much out there and different in different markets. So it's a big push of actually retaining your existing talent and helping them to grow and develop. I've been working in the talent acquisition recruitment space for a decade now. Very much started in the agency days before moving in-house and then kind of moving up the leadership ladder to where I am today.
Was that always your plan? So when you were at school, did you plan to go into recruiting, helping people to find a great career?
I'd love to say yes, but no, not at all. I actually stumbled into recruitment. So I actually started my career in technical sales. So in like IT hardware.
What did you sell, if I may ask?
Yeah, so it was called uninterruptible power supplies. So in a really basic format, it's a battery bank that if you had a power cut, it would switch over onto the battery so it could keep you going. So this was more when laptops weren't kind of everyone's go-to, your desktops. So if there was if the power went out and you hadn't saved your work as an example, then you're going to lose everything you sell. So I did it on a bit of a larger scale, so for data centers and that actually led me to Australia in 2010, moving from the UK. And as you know, 2010 was kind of the global financial crisis. So when I landed in Australia, I was unable to get kind of sponsored doing this kind of work. So I was kind of looking around and stumbled across kind of recruitment. And recruitment was very much something I could get sponsored for. So I kind of fell into it. It was never a plan. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed kind of the human element of it and helping people kind of guide them through recruitment processes, helping them kind of change their life in a little way. And but it was never a plan. So I did it for around about 2 years, and then the market kind of changed, went back into what I was doing before. And then that from there led me into like software sales. And that was good. Cybersecurity, it's an interesting space. Cybersecurity, it's very much the cat and mouse. It's really, I've always kind of had an interest in kind of obviously technology. And the cybersecurity space was just seeing how that evolved and became more granular. It was a really interesting place, but I don't think software sales and sales cycle really worked with my personality at the time. So it was very kind of like slow sales cycles, and like I enjoyed it, but I never really had true passion for it. And when recruitment had always been kind of in the back of my mind. So when I moved back to the UK in 2015, I was at a bit of a crossroads, and it was, do I continue down the software route, or do I actually pivot and go back into recruitment, but consciously go into recruitment? And I took that kind of decision, and yeah, I've been there ever since, really.
It's super interesting that you switched several times between recruiting / HR and sales.
Yeah,
But it also
it's
requires
always
very
human.
similar. Exactly, right. So it requires very similar skills, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's well, they always say in agency, it's people are the hardest thing to sell. So
Well,
yeah.
it sounds well. Okay, yeah, we just take it as a quote.
Yeah, no, no, it's in the way that you can never quite, like a physical product or a service, it's not going to change, but in recruitment you have to go off people's words. So the goalposts move, what you're being told, like you have to learn about candidate experience and candidate management, with something, I think that's one of the biggest skills that you can have when it comes to recruitment. Is having an open and honest relationship with your candidate, so that you build that trust, and really that there shouldn't be kind of surprises come along. But we've all had on the morning of an interview, oh, my car's broken down, my kid's sick, like a variety of reasons. So you can become almost skeptical at times, and then also all the way through the process, I love this opportunity, I love it, and when it comes to the offer stage, it's like, yeah, I'm going to go with something else. So yeah, it's good fun.
What I find incredibly interesting is like the development around, well, you kind of mentioned, also a more candidate focused approach to things. So like I think in general, I know it's not true for every company, but I think for many companies, things have diverged a bit over the last few years. So you had like a lot of investment in client experience, and candidate experience was also something, well, it was important, but it's, well, let's focus on client experience first. And I think nowadays with like most of the consumers are being so used to a superior service in terms of, well, when I get in contact with a company, so everything is pretty cool. While when I get in contact with a company as an applicant, it's still like it feels a few years ago.
Yeah, I find it's so interesting when it comes to candidate experience. Like we've all been candidates
Several times,
yeah.
yes.
So but it feels like sometimes companies forget about that, and the people building the systems, or the recruiters themselves, that it's kind of built like it should be like a respectful relationship. So, and it's something I've always tried to instill in my team, is we build a recruitment process that we would be happy to go into. So, and that starts with somebody's seen your advert, they're interested in your brand. That's great. That's really nice. So your job advert's doing its job, and they apply. How many times have you sent a CV and it just goes into a black hole? So no, I don't agree with that. So it's every candidate should get a rejection. And yes, it may be somewhat of a maybe it has a generic feel to it. It's kind of saying thanks, but no thanks at the moment, because there's not a fit. But it's an acknowledgement, and just off that, the amount of emails that you actually get back saying, "Hey, thanks for acknowledging me, and I'll keep an eye on your brand. I'll keep an eye on the future. Maybe the next one is And then that kind of goes into, as soon as somebody comes into process with you and goes into the true candidate experience, again, I feel like we've all had an interview and then you never hear anything again. It's like, is it me? Like, have I done something wrong? It's I've invested time. I've learned about your company. I've met with somebody. I've spoken to them. I'm fine with rejection, but just tell me if I'm not right. Can you tell me something that that I did wrong, that I can take that snippet and I can use that for the next interview, and it helps. So again, it's just that ensuring that you instill in your hiring teams to provide feedback, so it then goes to the recruiter, so the recruiter can pass it on. And that becomes more and more important the deeper somebody goes into the interview process, that they get that kind of feedback. And especially, I'll tell you, I've done recruitment for 10 years, and it doesn't get easier giving bad news at the end. Like, you've taken somebody all the way through and to the final, and you've got two really good people, only one can kind of get the job at the end. And I'll dread that call, but I do, and it's important. And there's always kind of gratitude for it. And what you got to remember is that kind of candidate experience then moves into the onboarding experience, which is then important. And then onboarding then goes into the employee experience. So they're all kind of connected throughout the way. And if you get the first one wrong, it can really have a negative kind of impact at the second and third stage of that.
I like a lot what you said about, well, we want to build an experience you would yourself like. And how do you get this kind of sentiment across to people? So that's, well, I think many HR organizations, and when recruiting, employer branding, whatever belongs in what company organization to HR. But I think HR very often still works in a way that, okay, well, we have processes that are organized in a way that, well, it ticks all the boxes when it comes to compliance. So it fulfills all the needs. However, does it go beyond that? Does it go beyond needs? Does it go to, like, hey, I kind of enjoy that experience, and well, it's part of the overall experience I have with that company. So well, if I think of that company, if I even if I'm not hired, I refer to that company to a friend.
Yeah, well, look, there's the I don't know if it's more of a UK thing, but you talk about word of mouth. So if you've eaten in a great restaurant, you tell one person. You eat at a bad restaurant, you tell 10 people. And I feel it's the same when it comes to recruitment. Yeah. So look, with my teams, I think I very much practice what I'm preaching. So I don't ask them to do anything. I make sure that, because I will still kind of dip into recruitment on certain roles when the team needs it, because we're kind of fluid. So it's just ensuring that, like, my pipeline, there are no people that are sitting in stage for days. They're getting the responses, and they're kind of seeing the actions that I'm taking. We talk about it. We talk about respect. Like, I'm definitely not a micromanager, but there'll be times where, if I'm noticing things are building up a little bit, then look, in your one-to-ones with your team, then you can kind of talk about it. But yeah, like, I've got a small, tight team now, and yeah, look, it's kind of what we live and breathe in, and we've got ourselves to a stage now where we've got a great kind of base, and now it's kind of optimizing on top of that. How do we continue to iterate and improve on top of what we've got now? But it's I think it's very much showing them kind of like, it's how I work as well. So
how often a day, how often a week do you recognize, okay, well, some stuff I do because I work as a salesperson?
I don't feel like I have the sales mindset anymore.
You don't, or you do?
Well, no, like, I guess we sell the company, but I don't look through it through the same lens now. I guess I have a real passion for the company that I work for, and I'm passionate about the people that I work with, and I enjoy coming to work every day. So I think that comes across when I'm kind of in process and when I'm talking with my team. But I'm also big on transparency with candidates as well. I think that's also a very much an important part of recruitment. And sometimes I'll joke, it might sound like I'm trying to talk you out of a job, but it's just being like really clear. This is a situation that you're coming into. These are the kind of current challenges that we're facing. These are kind of the expectations that would be on you in the role. Because again, I feel like I've at least had it once or twice in my career where what you're sold during that interview process, and then when you land, you're like, oh, this feels a little bit different. This isn't quite what was sold on the tin.
Yeah, well, also on this particular topic, there are numerous memes, right? So how many times, okay, you position yourself as as a polar bear, whether you turn out to be a penguin or something, right?
Yeah.
It's I think absolutely incredible what you when you talk about, well, how to make your team also well, not micromanaging, but also, well, making them aware that, well, it has to be a bit like a sales perspective, however, not being a salesperson, but it's very much about that experience. Have you experienced any pushback on that? So when people told perhaps, seriously, yeah, perhaps your opinion, I've seen your resume, you do have a history in sales, but hey, seriously, we do things a bit different over here.
Yeah, look, when I joined Storio Group, prior to joining, I'd been very much UK centric, and I dabbled in Europe, and I'd also spent some time recruiting in the US market, but then coming over to Storio Group, where we're hiring in, as I said, as well as the UK, the Netherlands, France, Spain, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and it's different cultures. And the team that I inherited at the time was very much Dutch based, and I joined at a time where I think we had 70 open roles when I joined. It was a lot, and the team they liked it, and it's in the right environment. It's great. It was super personal with the line managers, but it was very much, I'll work 2 or 3 roles per month. And I came in with the maybe more of an English mindset, should we say, British mindset of how do we optimize, how do we speed this up, how do we maintain a candidate experience, but then also increase volume. And there was definitely pushback there of, well, this is the way we've done it, this is the way we do it. But as a manager, I also had to look at it and go, from a business perspective, we have 70 open roles and a team, a team of I think at the time it was a team of 8 working 2 to 3 roles. Like, we're never going to fill these roles. So yeah, it was an ongoing kind of during our weeklies and talking, and look, in some cases it was the fit with the new mindset. It wasn't right for either party. So
what do you think is the most important topic in recruiting these days?
Most important topic, for me, it's really understanding. Yes, look, it's understanding your role and what the business, what we need as a business, what's a team looking to bring in, but understanding the candidate as well. Like, going back to that candidate experience, because again, if you're understanding what they're looking for early in the stage, and you know what you kind of have available to them, you can save everyone a lot of time and effort. yeah, I think you can, if you ask the right questions at the start of the process, you can understand if this is going to be a fit for the candidate. Because again, you don't want to bring them into a situation that that is not the environment they're looking for. So I think during the screening stage with all of our team, we build up a clear profile of what a person is looking for, so that we can say, yes, this is going to be a great fit for you, or maybe this isn't a fit for you, and this is the reason why. So I think yeah, the understanding of both parties' wants and needs, so we can see if there's a match early.
That would also require then lots of time spent with the hiring division or with the hiring manager, I guess, right?
Yeah. There's we have it's very much a relationship, like we're business partners. I think that's kind of sometimes missed from TA. It's kind of, here's a role, go and fill it for me with no understanding. Yeah. No. So it's very much a business partner relationship. So yes, I have a role, and how I align with my team is that they've got certain areas of the business, so they're maintaining certain senior stakeholders, so they can really kind of nurture those relationships and have an understanding of, and over time build up a real close relationship. So and I think it's like regular, I don't put a cadence on it, but each of my team will manage their stakeholders in different ways. I don't think there's any one way that you can manage the stakeholders, but it's by business partnering, really understanding the needs, then they can take that away for the search.
You also mentioned that, retaining great talents becomes more and more important. So it's not just about, getting new people in, but also focusing on how to work with people to develop, and what are, in particular as a young company and a growing company, what are your approach, or what's your approach there to, not only get the best people, but retain the best people?
Yeah, so again, it's very much a work in progress on that side. So Storio Group came about from a merger 2 years ago with a Dutch company called Arbelli and a UK company called Photobox Group. But prior to that merger, there was multiple acquisitions that were made. So there were things in each location, things were very much still local and local ways of doing it. So like post-merger over the last 2 years, as we've been kind of coming together into one business, one way of thinking, one way of working, one sense of purpose, which has then kind of resulted in how we've come to become Storio Group. What that now means is also unifying all of the processes and the systems, and looking at how we do talent development. So yeah, it's really a session of, okay, what do we actually have as a needs assessment in the business? What does the business need? Where are we going over the next kind of 2, 3, 5 years? Against where we're looking to go with the business, what kind of, does that mean like new technologies, new skills are needed? Then how do we do the needs assessment of the business, and actually map out our existing talent and identify where the gaps are for the existing team? How do they weight against where the business is going versus what's missing, so we can prioritize talent, and then we can look at building out the training and the development of the existing workforce. And I think that will over time evolve. Where we want to be is where it's very much a self-owned learning strategy, but we've got to put the right building blocks in place to begin with. But yeah, with talent being so hard, I think that development of talent now is paramount, like to retaining talent. And it's the with and what's in it for me. as they say, and that's what a lot of candidates are looking at now. Where yes, what they're yes, they'll get salary, yes, they'll get certain perks, but really everyone I think wants to develop. So yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about technology? You just mentioned, okay, technology playing a much greater role. Obviously, also in the recruiting space, it will be much more significant. What are the trends you're observing there?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one when it comes to tools. And if we're talking, are we talking just recruitment, or are we talking talent as well, talent management? So from a recruitment perspective, I think it's important, like having a good applicant tracking system in place, which makes managing the candidate experience, the talent attraction piece, is easier to do, and more consistent. I think that LinkedIn is such an embedded tool for recruitment. I don't know how you'd survive without it now. But with Microsoft, everything is very granular when it comes to costings. We've looked at various closed candidate pools, so platforms like Cord, HackerJob, Hired. They all have their pros and cons of return on investment versus the access to the different types of talent. From like job boards are evolving. So it's interesting to see. I always take an open mind. I like to kind of, if I'm seeing new tech coming through, looking at things like programmatic advertising across social media and tools like this. But again, it's finding what's right for your business, for what you're trying to attract. From a talent development stack, there is yes, you can develop content in-house. You've got your learning management systems, you've got your e-learning providers. These are all things that kind of can be utilized. I think it depends where you're at in the journey. It's all well and good throwing tools and spending money, but if you're not using them, you're not getting the return on investment. It can be a bit of a black hole for your budget.
Indeed, and well, as you mentioned, well, if nobody, so you can buy, but if you're not well applying the tools, well, yeah, then well, you can't get anywhere, right? And how do you make sure that, well, within your team, within your organization, that people use the tools that you think make sense for you as an organization or for you as a company?
Yeah, look, I think it's anytime we've introduced a new tool. So since I joined, we moved over to Leather ATS. I think that is important with getting engagement, because if your hiring managers obviously using feedback. For us, it was very much about the change management piece, communicating the change was coming, explaining why the change was coming, providing the content, the user manuals, videos, and how to use it, but also being readily available if somebody is using it for the first time and not quite sure how to do it. And actually, we've seen a real increase in the percentage of feedback scorecards which are submitted post-interview now compared to where we were prior to Leather. With my team, if we're looking at introducing a new tool, look, we'll all be part of the selection process. We'll go for the demos together and we'll look at it. But again, it's ongoing training from your customer success managers, making sure we all understand what the tool can do, how to use it, how it can benefit us, how it can make our life easier, and if it will. But again, at the end of it, it comes down to the results. And as much as you think a tool's great and you know exactly how to use it, sometimes it just doesn't deliver the intended results, which we've had a few times.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and yeah, I think we all and well, everyone who listens in probably knows so many situations when, well, stuff appeared pretty amazing on the outset. However, then in reality it was kind of difficult, and well, in the end, didn't make the life easier, which I think is probably one of the most important features or most important um, things
More,
that
yeah,
it should be
more,
there, right?
yeah. And I think the biggest when it comes just to purely on the recruitment side of things and talent attraction, the biggest impact that we saw was actually changing our job descriptions rather than getting access to these pools and paying. And to be honest, a lot of the tools will position themselves as, yes, we have a secret group of candidates that you'll pay us the premium to get access to. But then if you've got 2 or 3 platforms, you actually notice, oh, I feel like I saw you on the other one. So, but no, job descriptions, actually, we kind of revamped our job descriptions and moved to impact job descriptions, which is more about showing, okay, yes, here are the responsibilities of the roles. And from doing this, this is the impact and contributions that you'll make for the business. And you can see, and within there, kind of paint a picture about when you're in the role, actually you can see your own kind of impact and development in that piece. And I think that really had overall the biggest attraction. And it's job descriptions are such a funny thing, because from time to time I will go and review. I'll go across kind of LinkedIn and different job boards, and sometimes it feels like just no effort has been made to put the job description together. It's just a long list of bullet points. And that was another thing about impact job descriptions, like moving away from just long list, and it's kind of 4 or 5 kind of key bits. It also, like, from diversity of candidate pool, it's, if you have too many bullet points, you're having different candidate pools will start to rule themselves out. Because there's too many. They're looking for a reason to say this is not the right role. Whereas we want to be the ones to go, no, let's have a look at your CV and say, look, it's not quite right, but maybe it's for the future. But yeah, it's funny when you look on the job boards, and some really big brands, and it's a unified voice for us as well.
Can I ask, how did you come up with, well, this is what we need to change? So impact, that's the thing we need to look at, and we need to change, and probably this will, well, have an impact. So
No, I'd love to say it was my unique idea, but it's very much not. A head of people I worked with a few jobs ago was the person who introduced me to them, and yeah, like, I liked the position of it, about kind of reaching wider audiences, more diverse audiences, helping kind of separate yourself from all of the other generic job descriptions are out there. So, and it's just something I took with me, and I've iterated it on top of it and adjusted them as I've gone. And look, I've taken advantage of tools like ChatGPT to kind of play around with things, and it was a lot of it is testing in a market of what works and what doesn't, until you kind of hit on, okay, this is a format that seems to really work. So
can you give us a bit of an example? I find that incredibly fascinating what you're talking about. So can you give us a bit of an example? Okay, well, the description or the way how you communicated this particular job changed from A to B.
Okay, so we search. The majority of people, when they're searching for a job nowadays, I would assume we search on our phone. So say we've got LinkedIn, and we're like, I'm on lunch, I've not enjoyed the morning, or it's a Sunday evening, and you're sat on the couch, got work tomorrow. So Let me just
Sunday
see.
fatigue.
So you're on your phone now. A lot of I'll say legacy job descriptions will start with the about us section, and if you've seen some about us sections, and it's great learning about the company, but if you're on your scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and you're still in that bit, I think that was the big piece. It's great to have it, but now it's like put it further down your job description. What people want to see now is like, what am I doing? Like, and like Google's approach when it comes to job description, they have quite a good one for the tech. Like they go straight in with the must-have experience, nice-to-have experience. And that's because as soon as you open up that job description, you can go, yes, got that. No, don't have that. That's right for me. That's not right for me.
Yeah.
So I think just playing around with where things sat on the job descriptions as we went. And again, like how in depth, how detailed, what was the important bits, what weren't. So yeah, it was adjustment. But again, it's not a perfect science, but we saw an increase in direct applicants. It's our whereas opposed to when I joined, I'd probably say agencies might have even been the biggest source of candidates. We now get 60 to 70% of our hires from direct applicants, which saying again it reduces the need to have tools outside of LinkedIn and the time spent for sourcing, because sourcing is great and you'll always need to source, but it's not the most efficient process for finding your candidates. If you can attract them, if you can have them knocking on your door, then that's the win.
Perfect. Stuart, I have one last question. So a segment we just introduced. So what is a question you would want to pose to a future guest of HR Visionaries? So any future HR leader you want to address?
Interesting.
It's a cool new format, right? So some
yeah.
of my colleagues had the idea, okay, let's do this perhaps a bit more in a more interactive way. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I let other people do my work. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I'm always interested to hear about and I use the word mistake loosely because like what is something that you tried that didn't necessarily land as you thought it might, but you learned the most from? Because I think that's people are scared to make kind of a mistake on the way. I don't think it's what you potentially you learn more from the mistakes than when things go right. So I'd say yeah. And what have you what thing stands out that you tried, you wanted to do, didn't quite work out, but you learned the most from?
You successfully failed.
Yeah. Successful failure.
Wonderful. Stuart, thank you so much. It was super interesting talking to you. I really liked a lot what you said about, well, the experience, obviously, how to recalibrate the job ads. And then, well, it's also a big part of experience, I guess, to make sure that people are not bored with like the About Us section. However, I can't let you off the hook before you tell us in a few sentences the About You section of what you actually do.
Yeah, for Storio Group.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Storio Group, we are the leading online provider of photo gifting products. We deliver products across Europe to 7 million customers each year. When I say photo gifting, you can take a digital photo and you can put it onto a product. So like our mission as a business, we're about creating joy, because we connect people with the moments that matter most to them, the things that they've captured in a moment in time in a photo, and then we inspire them to share stories with us in the products that they make. So it could be a photo album, it could be something to put on the wall, a card, a
The
calendar.
mug.
Yeah, exactly. So it's as missions go, it's quite a nice mission to have.
Wonderful. Yeah, I didn't know too much about Nicki Minaj, and then my colleagues bought me a cup with, or a mug with Nicki Minaj on the cup for my birthday, which I liked a lot, and it's actually a cool idea indeed. So have a great day. Thank you so much for participating again, for being a guest on HR Visionaries.
Thanks for having me on.
So, guys, and thanks a lot for listening in. I'm pretty sure you all learned a lot again today, and it was great to have Stuart on. See you next time.